Hi, I'm Madison and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some dark romance recommendations for you with a slight focus on it being the spooky season. So with it now being officially October, I thought it would be fun to give you guys some dark romance recommendations, but also give you some that are specifically like Halloween spooky season related. So the first half of these are going to be like spooky, Halloweeny, smutty books, and the back half are just going to be some extra dark romances that I want to recommend you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. I really don't think I could do this video without mentioning The Dare by Harley Laroux. This is technically banned on Amazon, so you can only buy the physical book on Amazon, but you can buy the ebook on like Apple and Kobo and things like that if you are interested in reading it digitally. Now, Harley just came out with an actual full-length novel following after The Dare. It's called Losers. I'm so excited. I'm about to pick it up, but it does take place after The Dare, and The Dare takes place on Halloween. It is a bully romance in two different aspects. You're following this girl who was super popular in high school and used to bully these guys, especially this one guy in particular, and especially her boyfriend also used to bully this guy. And then it takes place during college when she comes back to town, and all of them are throwing like a reunion party basically for Halloween. And when she gets there, her name is Jessica, she's all dressed up, she's hot. She ends up seeing the guy that she used to bully, that her boyfriend used to bully, Manson, there, and he has gotten hot. And so the two of them end up playing like beer pong, but part of beer pong is that it's like dare pong, where you have to do a dare if someone gets it in. And what ends up happening is she ends up losing, and as a result of that, she ends up having to be like his toy for the night and has to like do everything that he says and be his submissive basically. And so there are a lot of triggers in this, and I will say that there is a sexy scene that is basically a clown orgy. So if you don't like clowns, that scene might be hard for you to read. I do not like clowns, and it was mildly traumatizing because I was like, oh, it's so sexy, and then the clowns appeared, you know? But this is BDSM related, and for the kinks and fetishes that are in this, there is erotic humiliation, degradation, fear play, pain play, knife play, consensual non-consent, orgasm denial, boot worship, spanking, crying, group sex activities, spit, bondage, public play, blood play, and no protection is used as well. So, you know, if any of those bother you, FYI, but that's what this is. I really enjoyed it, so give it a shot for Halloween. The other Halloween book I have is Scream for Us by Molly Doyle. This takes place again during Halloween night, and this one is a masked men situation. So you're following this girl, and she goes to a Halloween party, and when she gets there, she meets these three guys who basically her protectors. They're all wearing famous movie masks. So one of them is Ghostface, one of them is Michael Myers, one of them is Jason, and they're all wearing like their respective masks the entire time basically. I think they only take them off like once at the end, maybe not even. I don't remember if they take them off in this one, but it's basically her in this like reverse harem situation, although she is mainly with the guy who is Ghostface. And there is mentions in this of prior suicide attempts because the main girl was bullied. There are also some kink and trigger warnings for this one as well. Let me get into them. I feel like these ones, I feel like Halloween smut has the weirdest stuff in it. So this one has trigger warnings for blood and gore, mask kink, breath play, choking, knife play, fire play, praise and degradation kink, and it does say murder. So do know that. There is mentions also prior sexual assault that the character did experience, but not in this one. And there you go. That's another really amazing one that I do recommend. This one does go a little bit off the rails, so do be aware, especially of the triggers in this one. And this one is also getting a full-length novel, hopefully next year. Now, I want to mention a book that hasn't come out yet by the time I'm making this video, but it is one that I do plan on reading, and I do want to quickly mention it, and that is Hallows Grove by Jacquout. This is part of her Holy Night series, in which she does a different kind of holiday romance depending on what time of the year it is. So she's got one that's a Christmas one, she has one that's 4th of July, she has one that is St. Patrick's Day, and this is her fourth one, which is based on Halloween. So this one is going to be enemies to lovers, also best friend's brother, and it is forced proximity, and it is like a version of Clue. So it's a twist on what I honestly like to call Cluedo, because in Australia it's called Cluedo, but Americans call it Clue, the board game. But it's like a twist on that, which I'm so excited about, and it does have a pleasure dom, and it does have a little bit of primal play as well in it. So I'm very excited for this. I've loved all these ones that Lee has put out so far, so I didn't want to mention it here, even though I haven't technically read it yet. I just want to include it as a recommendation because why not? So the next one after that I have to get to is not necessarily like a Halloween recommendation, but it is a dark romance that has a Halloween scene in it. That is going to be The Sinner's Duet by Sophie Lark. I tabbed the shit out of this book series. So it's a duet, it's a serial killer romance as well, but there is a scene in this that does take place during Halloween. They go to a Halloween party together and it was hot. So this is Mara and Cole's romance. Now Cole is a billionaire artist serial killer, and he is one of 2 billionaire artist serial killers in the area. The other one is Alistair Shaw, and the two of them have been like billionaire artist serial killer rivals for years. They're both rivals in serial killering, and they're rivals in the art world as well. Cole ends up meeting Mara one night. She's a starving artist and he's quickly taken by her. And what happens is that Alistair sees this and decides to present Mara to Cole as like a gift for him to kill. When Cole doesn't kill Mara, but instead begins to become obsessed with her and falls in love with her through like basically stalking her, Alistair decides that he's instead going to kill Mara and take her away from Cole. And so it is Mara and Cole's romance as Cole is a serial killer. Mara is in danger of being killed by Cole and by Alistair, because Cole wants to still kill Mara, but then he's also in love with Mara and he's like, what does this actually mean for me? And Mara is this starving artist who is just trying to get on her feet and ends up having Cole be her benefactor. It is absolutely nuts. There are a lot of different triggers and content warnings for this one as well. There is, obviously she does almost get murdered in the very beginning, so that's a huge trigger there. There is also voyeurism and stalking. The guy, it's kind of like a bit like You, but erotica, if I'm going to be honest at some points. So if that creeps you out as well, like he breaks into her place and like jacks off in there while she's not there, so that's also something, you know. There's a lot of boundaries that are crossed. And it's just very fun though, to be quite honest with you, because he generally does fall in love with her and she generally falls in love with him, and they're both these people who have been broken previously in their lives coming together and kind of just fucking shit up as like one entity. So if you like serial killers and if you like the idea of a girl who's not a serial killer but kind of gets a bit twisted by being around a guy who is, and kind of the two of them taking on the world together and killing everyone, I would highly recommend this. We then have Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, that is too shiny, by Catherine Moon. This is a reverse harem monster book. So it's about a girl and it's kind of got like Victorian era vibes, but it's this woman who ends up going to Rooksgrave Manor, and Rooksgrave Manor is where women can go to basically be like the consorts, sexual consorts normally, of monsters. And they can take on as many clients as they want. It's kind of like a high class, like, brothel. And so it's her romance with a gargoyle, a vampire, a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character, an invisible man, and a sphinx. I believe it's those 5. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, but the vampire and the invisible man are my favorites. Oh my god, her relationship with each of them too, like it genuinely like progresses throughout. And what I enjoyed about this one as well was that it wasn't just her with each of them, like everyone gets involved with everyone, and it's like a very sharing relationship as well. It's a very interesting dynamic. It is more sex than plot. I do want to preface that because I feel like some people don't always like it when it's more sex than plot, but this is one of Catherine's books that is like that. I loved the invisible man in this. I did not think that an invisible man would be sexy. I was wrong. Invisible Mans are like a new thing for me. I'm like, I would love to read more Invisible Man smut if Catherine Moon were to write it, because there's something about him that I was like living for. Like, oh my god, give me I was gonna say Invisidaddy, but like I hate the Daddy King, and everyone knows I hate the Daddy King, but I just had to say that. I think it's so much. And especially if you've never read Monster Smut before, do check this out, because I thought before I read this that I didn't like Monster Smut, and I also thought before I read this that I didn't like reverse harems, and this is the book that changed my mind on both of those. This is what made me be like, oh, I do like reverse harems, and I also do like monsters if they're done right. So the last book I have is like a dark romance for beginners, but I also read it during the spooky season last time, and I think it really worked out well because it has that like dark October, November vibe to it, and that is Hooked by Emily McIntire. This is a Captain Hook reimagining. It is contemporary, there is no magic at all in this, and it's not a retelling, it's a reimagining, which means that she takes certain portions from the original fairy tale and weaves them in, but it is in no way following how that plot went at all. This is perfect for beginners who have never really tried dark romances or also have never tried mafia romances, because this one has to do with gangs, and so it does kind of give you a little bit of an insight into what it could be like to read a proper mafia romance, or if you wanted to delve into something that's a lot more darker later on. And so this follows James, who is Hook, and he has always made it his life's mission to destroy Peter Michaels, and Peter Michaels' daughter is Wendy. And what James ends up deciding is that he is going to seduce Wendy to his side and ruin Peter's life by taking away his daughter. The thing is that James ends up falling in love with Wendy, and at the same time, Wendy has actually been sheltered by her dad her entire life and doesn't actually know anything about the real world, and James kind of opens her eyes up to like just how messed up the world is, because he's in gang shit, her dad's very, 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 very corrupt, and she kind of like ends up being opened up to this like criminal underworld that she wasn't aware existed. And it's the two of them, they're very much ride or die. And this book also very heavily relies on breath play. Oh my god, this is the first time I'd actually read breath play, and I was like, oh my god, I love this. Definitely recommend it. It will really open your eyes. This is the book that I read and also stayed with me. Like, I read this, I gave it 4 stars, was still thinking about it like 4 weeks later and was like, I'm giving it a 5. And to this day, to today, a year later, I still think about this book. That's how much of a damn impact it had on me. Oh my god, and especially so that's why I say if you're a beginner to read this, because the reason why I didn't get a full 5 initially is I was like, oh, I've read darker, I've read, you know, more gritty, more gruesome, like kind of dark romances, but this is so perfect if you're just starting off, so highly recommend. And that is going to be it. This is going to be the very first of many dark romance recommendations, and I do hope you enjoyed this more spooky themed version of my dark romance recommendations. If you guys did enjoy this video, please click that button down below. If you want to see more of me, please go to my channel and check me out on Instagram and TikTok. And until next time, thanks a bunch everyone.